Hi, I'm Ryan from Amber Elm. Today I wanted to explore a synth that's been out for a while now. It's the Moog Subharmonicon. Now this video has chapters, so if you want to skip around, go for it. Otherwise, I wanted to share with you how I ended up with this thing and give you my first impressions of a synth that's going on about 3 years since its release. Now I've been playing music since I was like 5, been writing my own music for around 20 years or something crazy like that, but I've only recently gotten into synthesis. I started out with the Arturia plugins that would model like the Roland Juno series or like the Prophet, but I would really just kind of use the presets and tweak them here and there. After a while, I finally got my first hardware synth and I started to learn like how they worked, what an oscillator was, how to tweak the sounds by changing the shapes of the filters and using different waveforms. I'd still consider myself to have somewhere between like an advanced beginner's or intermediate level knowledge of synthesis. I like using synthesizers a lot for textures and atmosphere. From time to time, I'll use them in more of like a featured role in my music when I'm writing, usually after watching like Stranger Things or listening to The Midnight. Now, I've had my eye on the ASM Hydrasynth and the Hydrasynth Explorer for a really long time, and I was pretty ready to pull the trigger, and then I stumbled upon a video that showed me the Moog Subharmonicon. Now, I was already aware that it existed, but I always saw it in use with like the DFAM or the Mother 32 or like in that series of all three of them. I'd never really thought about it on its own, but once I saw it by itself, it led me down sort of a rabbit hole of listening to it and learning about it. Every video I saw, people would usually mention two things. And one was people either love this thing or they hate it. And the second is, it is absolutely not for beginners. And like I said, I'm sort of in this middle ground of still sort of feeling like a beginner when it comes to synths, but I also felt like I could kind of follow the patches they were making, and it got me really curious. So I abandoned the idea of making super rich and complex sounds on my hypothetical new Hydrasynth, and I went out and got myself a Subharmonicon. So here's my attempt at a little unboxing. In the package, you get the device itself, the manual, power cord, some patch cables, and these preset layovers. Now, the first thing I'm really curious about is how hard it is to make something that sounds usable for me and or something that is inspiring. Before I get too far into it, if you're enjoying this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. I'm closing in on like 400 subscribers, which is kind of honestly pretty nuts to me, but you can get more content like this, other synth videos, composition videos, and random music history content. It would really mean a lot to me, kind of show me that I'm on the right track as far as content goes, and you can help grow the channel by joining our small but ever-growing community. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to try to explain what most of these things do. In a nutshell, there are two oscillators. Each oscillator has two sub-oscillators that use a harmonic of the frequency of the first. So in total, there are 6 oscillators, which is pretty awesome, but I imagine can get out of hand pretty quickly. You can trigger the oscillators with the trigger button here. The first sequencer is linked to the first group of oscillators, and the second sequencer is linked to the second group of oscillators. And by holding down the envelope generator button, you can basically latch the sound and tweak each step in the sequencer using the next button, so you can kind of see how they sound next to each other. The rhythm knobs basically divides the clock by 16 if it's fully to the left, and by 1 if it's fully to the right, and that will determine how it advances through the steps of that sequence. Get it? I think I do. And there are obviously way more features than this, not to mention the probably endless variations you can get into with the patch points, but for this video I wanted to keep it pretty surface level to see if somewhat of a beginner like myself can get some good use out of it. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking and let you listen to my first few attempts at making some settings I like, and I'll come back at the end for some final thoughts. This thing is awesome. I've had a blast playing with it. The filter sounds great. The polyrhythms are really fun to play with. It's 100% worth the price I paid for it, because it really does something unique that a lot of my other synthesizers don't do, specifically with the polyrhythms and the 6 oscillators and how they kind of work together with each other. I didn't hook this thing up to MIDI yet or to my pedals, which now I am really excited to do both. I think I'm going to make some more videos around this thing, but until then, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.